Coming up on today's edition of Locked On Eagles, we recap an incredible first day of the 2022 NFL Draft for the Philadelphia Eagles, trading up for Jordan Davis and then trading for A.J. Brown. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, Gino, if you would have told me that the Eagles came away in the first round without a cornerback, without a safety, I would have probably been pretty upset. But I don't know how you can be upset after the job Howie Roseman did tonight after the first round, trading up from the 15th overall pick to 13 for Georgia defensive tackle Jordan Davis, and then dealing the 18th overall pick and the 101st pick in the third round for Titans star wide receiver A.J. Brown. We reacted live on the show. Thanks to everybody that tuned in for our first round live show, year 4 in the books. And Gino, now we get to do a extremely fun podcast that at first didn't feel that way with the way the first 4 picks went. 5 picks, 3 edge rushers and 2 corners. But the board fell beautifully. The Eagles get a unicorn defensive tackle, and they get an elite wide receiver for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, right off the bat, man, you and I were kind of going through those first 4 picks: Travon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Derek Stingley, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, and then my nightmare scenario, Kayvon Thibodeau. And we're saying, geez, the positions that the Eagles and the Heat are just getting dried up real quick. And then things started to fall by the wayside a little bit. Right. And as I say that, Daxton Hill to Cincinnati as well, which is a great first-round pick. Yep. But then things started to go. Ike Ekwonu. Then you got Evan Neal. Then Drake London went.
Charles Cross goes eventually. Yep.
Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams. Real quick, that run on wide receivers, absurd. Absolutely insane. So then you're saying, okay, I'm at 15. The guys from Locked On Eagles, who Howie Roseman must be listening to, said a few weeks ago and a few months ago and even before that, that if you want to get up in front of Baltimore to get Jordan Davis, it is not a if, it is a must. You must get in front of them to get Jordan Davis. You had to. And what they gave up, I did this from my handy-dandy book here, The Drafting Stage. I keep the Fitzgerald Spielberger chart on me at all times. They gave up 15, 124, 162, 166, all for a value of 3,013 points. And receiving back, pick number 13, worth 1,700 points. So the difference between that is 1,313 points. So what that goes out to is the number 28 pick. So what the Eagles did, to break that all down,
for 2 elite players, probably one already elite player and one eventual.
I didn't even factor in 103 because that was just a wash. I mean, we blew them out of the water on that trade. Locked on Titans, Tic Tac Titans. He's pretty upset over there.
Oh, I can't wait to have him on the show this week.
Yes, sir. But what they gave up for Jordan Davis was the number 28 pick, but they didn't give up an additional first rounder. They didn't give up an additional second rounder. They didn't give up an additional third rounder. They gave up a 4th and 2/5 to get that value. Unbelievable. An unbelievable move to go 2 spots to guarantee you get the guy that you knew Baltimore was going to take. Mm-hmm. And you got one of the top 5 players in this class, in my opinion. Like, Jordan Davis is a game-changing, scheme-changing, offensive.
He's a generational defensive tackle prospect, you know. Like, let's just be straight up. A guy that's 6'6", 340 plus, can run a 4.7. Are you out of your mind? Like, don't box score scout this guy and read that he only had 2.5.
Yeah, don't overthink his
career high.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is a good thing that 2 years in a row now, Howie Roseman is not overthought. He just grabbed damn good college football players that have incredible upside, just clear picks that you knew were almost can't miss. And again, I wanted defensive backs, you know, really bad today, but at the same time, we also did recognize on this show, yeah, you don't want Devontae Wyatt, probably a defensive tackle, but Jordan Davis is a special game-changing kind of player. And if you can get that player at any position, that you do it. And honestly, defensive tackle might be more of a need than edge, because at edge, at least you have Hassan Riddick and Josh Sweat for 3+ years. Defensive tackle, you got Javon Hargrave for more than another year, but Fletcher Cox is only on a 1-year contract. I like Milton Williams, but who knows still what you have in him. you don't not take Jordan Davis there. So the fact that you were able to get Davis and then grab A.J. Brown for, like you said, all the price of 28th overall value-wise, and you keep all those future 2023 picks and 2024 in case you need a quarterback. Just what an amazing night from Howie Roseman. I did not think I'd feel this good about a draft day one if you told me they weren't going to come away with the DB, but they did it. And man, I've had so much fun with you these last 4 years on this draft show because Howie Roseman makes it so entertaining. Like, I think he started the trade era in 2017 and he saw the wildest NFL offseason come by and he said, I can top that. Watch this. And he stole draft day.
Without a doubt. And
he's Kevin Costner today, man.
Lou, I went upstairs and my parents are in town and my dad has never seen draft day until yesterday. I come upstairs and he goes, that was kind of like that Kevin Costner movie. And I go, yeah, it really was. Like everything that had to fall into place kind of did fall into place. And not only that, I look at the selection Dallas made after that and Washington reaching for old boy Jahan Dotson a little bit. The Philadelphia Eagles have set themselves up, Lou, for we talked about wanting to build that dynasty after the Super Bowl. The age got in the way. I think the egos got in the way. I think,
and the lack of draft picks to extend
lack
the
of
core,
draft picks.
You know, I think that was a huge part.
What I just said, I believe all of the opposite now. I believe that they're building young. They're just getting younger. A.J. Brown's still in the prime of his career.
Year 4, man. He's still on that rookie. I mean, you just signed him to a 4-year, $100 million deal, but I mean, he was a 2019 pick.
Yeah, he was in the Jalen Reagor class. Like, think about that. And Jordan Davis.
The year before.
JJ Arcega-Whiteside class. Yeah. I apologize. Just as bad.
They avenged it, Gino. 2019.
Yes, they did, man.
How many times we have to hear about A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin because you took Arcega-Whiteside? Well, you got one of those guys.
What is Howie's favorite thing to do? Go back and right his wrongs in previous drafts.
He does a really good job of cleaning up his messes, man. And he did it again.
Hassan Reddick earlier in the offseason.
Yeah, that's
Brown
another guy
today.
He should have took. Well, Reddick went right in front of Barnett, right?
But if he had the mentality that he had with Jordan Davis today and said, that is my guy, I have to go get him. That's another wrong that I think he righted. And I mentioned this on our live draft show that Louis Cine just went to Minnesota. Goodness, the run on safeties is coming now. Yeah. So we got to be ready for that. And we'll talk about what is on day 2 and what is yet to come. But just seeing what happened with the Marcus Smith draft and just seeing how they overthought the JJ pick and then they completely changed their draft philosophy for the Jalen Reagor selection. When they just went back to basics and the old adage, keep it simple, stupid, they just picked in back-to-back years, Lou, in the first round, 2 players, DeVonta Smith, won a national championship, won a Heisman Trophy, Jordan Davis, arguably the MVP of the entire college football playoff, SEC, and you bring him to Philadelphia, good teams draft good players. It's that easy. And you're seeing what is happening when you don't overthink it. And Howie doesn't think he's the smartest guy in the room. And you can't look at what he's done the last 2 years and think otherwise.
It just doesn't feel like he has tunnel vision anymore, man.
No.
On college production, on speed, on just playing upside. I think it just feels more balanced now and everything is being taken into account and they're not trying to, he did talk about this year about being different. You need to stand out in that way, but it feels like it's not over the top and it feels very controlled. This team has a clear plan. And that is what I really do love about what he did today with Jordan Davis and with A.J. Brown. Gino, before we take a break and really dive into the A.J. Brown trade, just do you mind talking first about like schematically what Jordan Davis is going to do? Because I think some people see a guy that's 6'6", 340 plus, and they think, okay, he's a nose tackle. He's going to gobble up, double teams in space and open up things for linebackers to come downhill and that kind of stuff. But while I think that's going to be the case, a lot of the time he is so powerful and he's going to eat up a lot of blocks. I think you're getting a lot more. I don't think you're getting just some straight up Danny Shelton type of nose tackle in round 1.
So I happen to know a few of the scouts in Philadelphia, and I was talking to them at CGS, and I was talking to the one who was scouting defensive line. Yeah. And I asked, like, what do you look for in your defensive lineman? And they say, we want a guy who could play a gap and a half, and could get upfield. So what does that mean? Like you said with a nose tackle, Lou, he's just going to be up there being a 2-gap guy who looks left, looks right, and really just opens up things for the linebacker.
Like he's almost moving side to side instead of downhill.
Yes, exactly. But in this gap and a half scheme, where in the gap and a half plays, you really have to squeeze in 2 gaps. And how do you do that? It's by getting upfield. So now what you can do is you can have the mass of Jordan Davis with Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, penetrating the 2 interior gaps while doing some crazy fun stuff with stunts on the outside with all those guys and their athleticism. But what that does is it's like the first line of defense. Like the Marines, they always go in first, right? And then the Army comes and cleans up. The edge rushers are the Army. The Marines are going in first. They're going to take on those 3 interior guys. And then you have the speed of Josh Sweat, Kaiser White, Hassan Riddick, potentially multiple draft picks over the next few days. And what the guys in the middle will allow you to do is to open up things for the guys who are explosive and can get to the quarterback like Hassan Riddick with that violent step. But Jordan Davis is not going to come off the field. He's not a first down, second down run stopper. He'll stop the hell out of the run, and so will all the other guys, but he's going to get after the quarterback. And you could look at his sack number, what you want. Look at what he did to affect the pocket in his career. If you can have a single individual taking on 2 people on multiple downs and getting upfield while still affecting the pocket, that's the basic schematics of these odd fronts where the linebacker
Cox makes that impact, Gino. I mean, he doesn't get 10 sacks every year, but when he's taking on double teams and still penetrating downfield, like that does make a lasting impact. And look at the college football playoff, that 1 sack he had against Alabama on Bryce Young. Like you can see the natural pass rushing ability. Like this kid is an athlete, and it's incredible for that size. You're right. Like he should be just a nose tackle. He shouldn't be able to do the things he does. But that's why I kept calling him probably like 800 times on the live show a unicorn, because he's just a special player. He's rare. He's generational. So that's exciting, man. And we were good just talking about that. And the Eagles turn around and they trade for A.J. Brown like 3 to 5 minutes later. We'll get into that right here.
5 minutes. Unbelievable.
And guys, today's episode of Locked On Eagles is brought to you by BlueNile.com. You can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece, all at prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. From diamond jewelry, cocktail rings, tennis bracelets, they have it all for this Mother's Day. Get your mom, wife, girlfriend, the in-law something special this year at Blue Nile. And whether she prefers a statement piece or everyday subtle elegance, BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every mom. Shop high-quality classic diamond earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, or gemstone pendant necklaces. Whether it's everyday fine jewelry or wedding rings and bands, they have you covered. And if you're looking for jewelry but are having a hard time choosing, Blue Nile also has experts on hand 24/7 on the phone or with online chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. This Mother's Day, give mom something she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On listeners get $50 off $500. This podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. Use the promo code Locked On. That's promo code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever peace. Go to BlueNile.com today. All right, Eagles fans, Louie DiBiase and Gino Camilleri wrapping up day 1 of the 2022 NFL Draft. The Philadelphia Eagles trade up from the 15th overall pick to 13, giving up, 2/4 and a 5th for defensive tackle from Georgia, Jordan Davis. And so, Gino, we're talking about that. We're like, okay, love the aggressive move. They got one of those players in that top tier that we said was worth a trade up for in Jordan Davis. And then we started like focusing, okay, maybe is this a corner here? Maybe you take a receiver. Maybe it's a safety. Maybe you move down from 18 and go with like Lewis Seen or Daxton Hill, one of the guys that just went off the board, late in the first round, a defensive back. But instead, I'm like refreshing and our reactions are priceless. It's another one for the books. I'm going to put together a collage tomorrow or
compilation.
Thank you. Compilation. It's been a long night of our draft reactions over the last 4 years, because that was great. You see Adam Schefter, you got to make sure it's the blue check mark, and boom, the Eagles traded the 18th overall pick and their 3rd round pick, 101 overall, for A.J. Brown, the elite wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. And Gino, I don't think either one of us thought they needed a star receiver. We both recognized they needed another playmaker for Jalen Hurts. But I feel like some people were using it maybe too much, saying how he wasn't building enough around Hurts. And we kind of thought more the improvements need to come from Jalen himself, from getting the young weapons they had already more involved. But at the same time, that didn't mean we didn't want a star receiver, that wasn't going to help this offense, that wasn't going to help Jalen Hurts. And now Jalen has no excuse. He's got A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, Quez Watkins, an elite offensive line. If he cannot take the step as a passer this year and they have to run a lot, Gino, the next quarterback in 2023 is going to have an amazing supporting cast because Howie nailed it. And this offense is loaded on paper.
Philadelphia Eagles have not had a player eclipse 1,000 yards receiving since Jeremy Maclin.
Are they going to get 2 next year?
A.J. Brown has done it twice, and he's 24 years old. DeVonta Smith
twice in 3 years.
Almost eclipsed 1,000 yards.
And Brown almost did it last year when he was hurt.
We could say the Eagles have 2 potential 1,000-yard receivers on their team, Lou, for the first time since, name them, Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin.
Oh, yeah.
We're back. Like you said, the 2010 offense was the best version of the Eagles offense you have seen in your fandom.
Skill-wise on paper, yeah, I would say.
Same with me. Even in the early years with Donovan McNabb, I mean, it was Todd Pinkston. We know the core that they had, James Thrash.
Yeah.
Now they have legitimate bona fide superstars. DeVonta Smith, already a superstar. Pair him with A.J. Brown, who's already gone over 1,000 yards twice, and he's 24. I'm going to keep saying that because
by the way, you have a top 5
ridiculous
tight end too, and maybe the best run after the catch tight end in football. You got
Absolutely.
a running back that's extremely underrated, one of the most explosive running backs in football. You've got Quez Watkins now as your 5th or 6th option, who was, I think, 2nd last year in yards per reception. And I was comfortable with Quez maybe being wide receiver 2 this year. Kenneth Gainwell had 7 touchdowns when half the time he was a healthy scratch. I mean, this offense, Gino, again, yeah, that's what I tweeted before the show. This team offensively on paper is as talented as any since 2010. And I loved that 2019 offense heading into the season on paper with Alshon, Nelly, Deshaun Jackson, Miles Sanders, Darren Sproles, Jordan Howard, that team with Ertz and Goddard as well. I thought Carson had it loaded. It fell apart instantly. But on paper, Gino, this offense is even better, I think.
I can't say that that's wrong, and I believe it 100%. And Howie Roseman is currently speaking, and I just want to drop this information in there. This is from Mike K. The Eagles' trade for A.J. Brown was based on the process of his contract extension. Roseman said they worked on the extension throughout the draft, and that Roseman also said that the way that the wide receivers were falling, it was contingent on that as well. So Howie Roseman did his homework on this.
Yeah, because if Jameson Williams is there, he probably doesn't do it.
I would say so. I believe so, because obviously it wasn't Treylon Burks who was the guy, right? I mean, they used that pick to go and get Treylon. But with getting a guy who Howie Roseman said was a top 10 player on his board, and Jordan Davis, and a future and perennial potential all-pro, perennial Pro Bowler, A.J. Brown, to the mix, you have a top 5 tight end, a top 10 wide receiver, another top 10 receiver in the making, Miles Sanders, who's one of the most explosive backs, who's going to come back healthy this year, with Boston Scott, Lou, who, not to mention, he was like 2nd in the team in touchdowns last year. Like, how do we forget about
one
this?
of your most clutch players, too.
Yes. And you're just adding younger players, athletes, guys that can play and love the game. Man, A.J. Brown steps on the football field, you know you got a game plan for him. Jordan Davis steps on the football field, you know that you have to game plan for him. What the Eagles did tonight was grab players that have very good to elite potential and are, if not a star now, are going to be future stars. Jordan Davis, if you were to just grade out guys in this draft, right, and say, I don't care where they go, based on his skill set alone, who would have the best chance to make like multiple Pro Bowls, potential Hall of Fame? It's hard to look past this guy, man. Like an absolute unicorn, 4'7", gets upfield, can do everything that Jonathan Gannon's scheme needs him to do, and he's a top 10 player on your board, and you didn't give up any premium picks to go and get him, which allowed you to save a premium pick to trade for A.J. Brown and then still have a 2nd and 3rd round pick to make tomorrow.
Carson Wentz would have killed for this offense, man. Would have killed. Like, how frustrated you have to be if you're Carson. You're like, are you kidding me? I leave. You bring in DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown in back-to-back off seasons. And what if he wears number 11? Like, how ironic would it be if the receiver Carson never had ends up wearing his jersey? That's hilarious and both sad at the same time. He's like, I had to throw to Deontay Burnett and Robert Davis, you bastards.
And poor Doug Peterson, man. I mean,
oh my gosh. He's like, you called me all basic because I had to scheme with Robert Davis and Joshua Perkins.
I mean, they got him Christian Kirk this year, right? But still, they go into this draft.
$8 billion.
I know. They get Devin Lloyd and
That's a good
draft
pick, by the way. I like that one.
Trevon Walker. I did too. I like that as well.
I thought the Jaguars actually had a good day.
He's probably looking back at Philadelphia saying, what? I couldn't get one guy like A.J. Brown here. Like, I couldn't get one. But that's another point that I want to talk about as well, is getting A.J. Brown and what this means. Because you said it on the live show, and I thought it was a great point of, the Eagles are interested in so-and-so, but they didn't get him.
Yeah.
Oh, the Eagles were interested in trading for DeAndre Hopkins, but they didn't get him. The Eagles were interested in trading for Calvin Ridley, but they didn't get him because of a suspension. But that didn't stop them. They kept overturning every stone. They kept swinging, and they took a chance to say, hey, we're going to give up, which could have been probably a wide receiver. We're going to give up that pick and sign this guy because we know this 24-year-old has another year on his rookie deal, and we're going to get ahead of the market. Because this extension, Lou, if they were to have waited and would have signed him in free agency or attempted to, man, he could probably get upwards of $30-some-odd million, in my opinion.
And by the way, while we have our other wide receiver on a rookie deal that we've got 4 more years of control.
Yes.
We've got a quarterback right now that's still got, 2 more years of a second-round contract. And if he doesn't become the guy, your next quarterback probably comes through a draft that's also on a rookie deal. So, yeah, a lot of teams are saying, look, we can't afford feasibly to pay these receivers $20+ million, especially 2 of them. Like Dallas is trading away Amari Cooper because they got CeeDee Lamb to pay eventually. The Eagles can kind of have their cake and eat it too with the way this timeline fits. It almost fits perfectly that you can pay a guy heading into that second contract right now while Quez, DeVonta, Jalen, they're all on these new deal or on these first-time deals. So you're also taking advantage of the way the NFL is set up with these contracts. And it makes so much sense. And you milk this for as long as you can with these kind of weapons. I mean, you saw it with the Bengals and Rams last year. You have that now. And if your quarterback can't take that step, again, there's no more excuses. Like last year, I don't think there was a lot of excuses, but you could say they were another piece away for Jalen. Not anymore, man. This offense is incredibly deep.
And if he doesn't get it done, they're going to bring in somebody else that could get it done because I think that they realize that with the whole Carson Wentz thing, like, yeah, he can elevate some bad pieces around you,
but it's like all the time.
But like, let's just not have bad pieces.
Yeah, let's make sure he's not. Yeah, right. Can he? Do you want a quarterback that can do that?
Yeah,
because there's not always going to be times that you have this luxury, right? You're going to have instances like 2019. So you want a guy that can do that. Like if they can't, I don't want that player because you can't always be guaranteed this situation. And this kind of environment isn't always going to make your quarterback elite anyway. If your guy's not elite, he's not going to be elite. Like look at Baker Mayfield and what he had in Cleveland. He still didn't really take that step. But at the same time, you're right. Like, but we should make it easier for him. Like we shouldn't have to have him throw his back out and his legs every single year to carry us. Like you want to make it easy on your guy and hit the ceiling of what you can be as an offense.
It's like you could paddle a boat with a hole in it, realistically. Right.
But we're not going to create a hole.
No, we're going to just get a normal boat that actually works. And that's what you get by drafting players out of the SEC, playing in big-time national championship games, test well, produce well. It's easy enough. And especially when I said tonight about the Buffalo pick, when best player available meets your need, that's a great pick.
It's a great feeling.
And Jordan Davis was easily the best player available on the board for them. Seeing where Jermaine Johnson went tonight, I far and away, I believe.
They fell to 26. That was wild.
I far and away believe Jordan Davis was the best player on their board without a doubt. They didn't sit and wait around. They went up and got him. And now they have added another piece at a future hole because Javon isn't going to be here forever. He's only signed to another year past this. So you're going to have to maybe sign him again. Who knows with the money that you're paying elsewhere Fletcher Cox could be gone. So, hey, we'll take Milton Williams. We'll add in Jordan Davis and shore up a hole while at the same time helping our defensive coordinator who needs this position. And we're also getting a guy who could potentially be the steal of this first round, in my opinion. Like where they got him, I think that's an absolute steal. And then, yeah, we'll just throw away that 18th pick and get A.J. Brown. Not a big deal. Like, what in the world? Where are we living right now? I can't.
Gino, by the way, our reactions, I posted the live reaction, the video of when A.J. Brown was traded. So people are having some fun with this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got a few good ones, man.
Yeah.
It's for the love of the game, dude.
So here's my good old brother saying when you use a bidet for the first time. And it's me going, oh!
Yo, that's unbelievable.
Someone took a screenshot of you like, oh!
Yeah, I know. It's great, man. But this is what we do.
What a night. Dude,
everything.
The best job in the world when you have this kind of night, man.
But think back to a couple months ago when we're saying, oh, we have 3 first-round picks. Like, we're going to get a bunch of young talent in the draft. Like, we can hit position X, Y, and Z. Well, then they trade away one of the picks. We're saying, okay, like, what's going to happen now? Then they trade away another one of the picks. Well, sometimes speculation isn't as great as the end result because everything that we put into it, I think we got it pretty right on where they were going to go, what their needs were. And you and I said defensive line, wide receiver on day one. And what happened? Exactly that. Not in the fashion we expected, but did you get 2 fantastic football players? Absolutely.
Yeah. I would have preferred to, like, again, when it was coming to like the report of Debo needing 2 firsts to get a deal done, we said we would rather take a Jameson Williams or Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, but A.J. Brown, an elite proven play already for only a 1 and a 3. Even with the contract that comes with it, it's hard to prefer anything else. Gino, though, there is still 2 more days of the NFL draft. The Eagles have the 51st overall pick tomorrow in the second round, 83 in round 3. They got some picks still on day 3 as well. What is next for this football team? What should the focus be now that they have their unicorn defensive tackle, their elite wide receiver to go with DeVonta Smith in A.J. Brown? We'll get into it coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles. And guys, today's show is sponsored by our official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's Bet Online. I bet you did not bet on what the Eagles did tonight with Jordan Davis and A.J. Brown. But if you think you know what they're going to do tomorrow and across the NFL with draft props, as well as the NBA playoffs, the NHL, you got the MLB season in full swing. Golf right now is going on in the summer. Make sure you head over to Bet Online. They're your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. Find all the latest developments, league reviews, and news, including all of the sports going on right now. It's your continued source for all your wagering information from live betting to playoffs, esports, and so much more. Head over to the website betonline.net today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action across the world of sports because BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, Eagles fans, Louie DiBiase and Gino Camilleri wrapping up this Thursday night edition of Locked On Eagles, recapping day 1 of the 2022 NFL draft. Gino, we've done 4 drafts now together, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Excitement level, did this crush the other 3 years?
I think last year, out of just like how much time I invested in DeVonta Smith and like how much I really did love this kid and like him who he is as a person on and off the field and what he can do to this football team. Jordan Davis, I kind of feel like it's absolutely an exciting pick, but it's like I think you and I kind of knew the direction that it was heading. But then I'd say this is the most shocking, like without a doubt.
Yeah, shock value. Even like the Rager over Jefferson thing, they got me. I remember they showed Jefferson in the green room, like, and then they took Rager, and I was pretty overjoyed at the time, unfortunately so, but it was true. But yeah, this year was. You go through all our mock draft Mondays this year, man. We did like 20 of them. And this scenario, we went over everything, but I did not think this was going to play out this way.
I'd say as a whole, this has been a rather shocking draft to me. I mean, the Giants draft pretty well, like right off the bat.
The Steelers take Kenny Pickett over Malik Willis. Willis fell outside the first round.
Yeah, we got to address that, my friend. Like,
that's crazy. It's a mistake. I'm not going to waver just because the NFL, like to me, I still think I'm still standing.
Scenario. Malik Willis is there at 51.
justice would be served after
Dude, that
Hurts
would
was the
be
52nd
incredible.
pick in
I know.
2020. The Eagles go one spot higher to take his replacement.
That
No,
would
it's
be
not going to
something,
happen.
my man.
But
No,
yeah,
I
man,
think,
only Pickett went, right?
yeah,
Desmond
Kenny
Ritter
P.
didn't go. Matt Corral didn't go. Look, I know everybody said how weak this quarterback class was. I didn't think the NFL saw it like this, where nobody was. I thought, okay, maybe 2 or 3 don't go in the top 10, top 15, but you'll get 3 or 4 in the first round. Nope. You got Kenny Pickett to
Right.
Pittsburgh at 20, and that is it.
Yeah, maybe they're starting to figure it out. Like, don't reach for quarterbacks that are like Blake Bortles, right? Like, remember that when they're like, oh, there's no quarterbacks in this draft. We're just going to draft Blake Bortles. And that's how it went. But I wouldn't compare Malik Willis to him. But I'm just saying, like, as a whole.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, though.
As a whole, yeah, we probably saw it a little bit differently. I still believe Malik Willis can develop into a fantastic quarterback in this league. But I don't think the board fell in a way that many saw it to be. Like, did anybody expect those wide receivers to go like that? Like, New Orleans trades up, Detroit trades up. Drake London is a top 10 pick. Like, maybe inside the NFL circles they had known this, but nobody on the outside could have seen this coming.
No. Gino, what are we going to see coming tomorrow? The Eagles are on the clock at 51 in the second round, 83 in the third. So again, I didn't think of a scenario where I'd be happy if they didn't come away with at least one DB today, but I am. So, but I do think the focus tomorrow needs to come with a corner or safety, especially with that second pick. And you look at the players available. So Kyle Hamilton went. Daxton Hill went to the Bengals. Unfortunately, there was a back-to-back safety spot there at the end of the first round. Lewis Cine also went, right? Where did Cine go?
Lewis Cine went to Minnesota.
Minnesota, right. Lewis Cine went to Minnesota. Daxton Hill goes to Cincinnati. So maybe you make a trade up for Jaquan Brisker. Maybe Jalen Pitre falls there at safety. Maybe you trade up for Tariq Woolen, or maybe you take a chance on Andrew Booth, kind of like you did Sidney Jones in 2017. But to me, a DB's got to come.
Yeah, I would say without a doubt that defensive back is on my top of my list here. And I'm just looking at the list of available defensive backs here. Even with the medicals, Andrew Booth Jr. should be a second-round pick.
For sure.
Yeah, the medical might not check out, but that's why he falls to the second round and wasn't a first-round pick. I could see that. I could absolutely see Jaquan Brisker, who is still available, being the selection for this team. I mean, Kyler Gordon is going to be there. Tariq Woolen is going to be there. Jalen Pitre is still there. I mean, there's still – Kobe Bryant could be the selection at 51, and I wouldn't even doubt it. But they have to walk away with at least one piece in the second.
They have to.
Tomorrow. With 51 and 83, I believe.
Yep, 83.
They have to get one of those players. If it's Chad Muma at 51, I'll be okay with not taking a secondary player because he kind of do
I don't know.
No, I'm all in.
Go
secondary, no matter what.
But if you want to go linebacker in the third round, or maybe go tight end, running back, I don't know if you have to go corner and safety, but you got to take at least one. But again, what a first night. We'll get into tomorrow. We'll go live again when the Eagles are on the clock at 51, 83 as well. Make sure you're subscribed to our podcast on all platforms. Check us out on YouTube as well. And we'll be live on Twitter at LockedOnBirds, at GC24_football, and at DiBiase LOE. We've got written articles coming from Fox 43. Gino made appearances today on our Locked On live show. I made another guest spot on Fox 43. We've got our what else we got, man? We did the live show too. We've got our live reactions. You can go check out on YouTube and Twitter as well. We did 3 hours of draft coverage during the first round. So what an incredible night. This is my favorite time of the year to do this show. And Gino will do it again tomorrow, man.
I can't wait, dude. This is the best, the absolute best. Like, what more could we ask for? We gave away our Hassan Riddick jersey today. Yeah, I mean, shout out to the who is it? Keenan Jenkins. He has a cool story. He's stationed currently in California, and he said he can't wait to tell his squadron about how he won this jersey. So it's a pretty cool thing that we're doing, and it's all because of the fans, man. Like, without you guys, we would have just been talking to each other for 3 hours, which we would have we can do. But... we can do, but it's more fun.
Yeah, man. Like, that's what I noticed. I felt grateful because like I saw how many like football platforms are tweeting out, we're going live at 6, 7, 8 o'clock. And the fact that we had so many, listeners, and viewers checking us out and having us be their voice throughout the draft was pretty awesome. So we'll continue to hopefully do that for you tomorrow. 51-83 coming up. But for today, we're going to sign off. The Eagles trade up for Jordan Davis and then trade for A.J. Brown. What a start to the 2022 NFL Draft. Thank you for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. As always, thank you for downloading. Thank you for watching and listening. And let's go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.